NIO stock is up almost 40% last week. It's up 22% on the month and 66% in the last 12 weeks. So NIO stock is looking really good right now as we approach Q2 earnings. It's really had a great week last week on the ES8 announcement. Investors like this vehicle, it's budget friendly and it should sell well. And it did result in a spike in NIO stock last week, up almost 30%. So in this video, I'm going to conduct a price analysis for NIO stock and share my thoughts and opinions on whether NIO stock is a buy right now. Let's take a look. I'd like to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/DavidB for the 5 best stocks to buy now. Use my special link to get $200 off their epic annual subscription. Now, if you find value in my analysis of NIO stock today or other stocks on my channel, you may also find value in my email newsletter. If you subscribe, I'll share with you professional trading tips to help you make more profits trading stocks. Link down below, check it out. So NIO stock surged about 30% last week on the announcement that NIO is launching the budget-friendly ES8 SUV vehicle. In this article, it does share that the new ES8 announced late Thursday is priced at 308,800 yuan, about 43,000 US dollars, under a subscription plan, allowing users to swap their batteries via monthly payments. Analysts say the attractive pricing, well below the typical price for premium SUVs, could drive strong demand for the ES8 brand. It goes on to say the move signals a pivot for NIO, which traditionally focuses on high-end models, but has struggled against cheaper competitors. So now NIO has the Onvo brand Firefly and now this new ES8 budget-friendly SUV. So all really positive for NIO, and investors like this news, and the stock price did surge by 30% on this catalyst. We can see on the weekly chart for NIO stock, really green bullish bar last week overall, opened low, closed high with an overall price peak of $6.60 and closing last week on the Friday at $6.34 based on that ES8 news catalyst. So really strong week for NIO last week. On the daily chart for NIO stock, you can see price was moving in a usual fashion underneath this potential resistance of 521. On the news announcement on Thursday, price did move up well from 524 up to a peak of 568. It gapped up then on the Friday's trading session and ended up closing high at 634. So really bullish news for NIO, and investors liked it a lot. On the weekly chart for NIO stock, we can see that price broke the confirmed downtrend line a number of weeks ago now. It had 3 bullish bars up from this support level of 335. It broke out during that first week of July. 1, 2, 3 green bullish bars up to a peak of around about 521. Bit of selling pressure at 521, and then price was sold off down to the support of around 445. Now from that point, buyers came back in and it was moving up day by day towards 521, but with that catalyst last Thursday, price did smash through that level of 521 and it closed high at 634. And you can see as well, not only did the catalyst push through that level here, it also broke through the $6 level as well, corresponding to potential resistance back here. So through 520, through $6, all in one day, and then closed the other side at 634. So really bullish for NIO. On the monthly chart for NIO stock, looking at the big picture for this EV company, we can see since the all-time high of around $66 back in January 2021, this stock has been in a long-term downtrend. It has been trending down for a number of years. And you can see recently it did reach this low, this significant trough of $3, which at the moment does look as if that could be the low. $3 could be the low for NIO. In recent months, you can see it has broken the trend line for 2 months now, almost 2 months in a row. So a really bullish month in July, and so far in August it's also looking bullish. Both months you can see green up bars and both closed high, suggesting that buyers are coming in and buying up NIO stock, and they like these prices underneath this $7 marker here. And I think this $7 marker is a significant level for NIO. It does highlight this last price peak for NIO created back in September 2024. And I think once price can break through that level, it would confirm that NIO is starting a medium-term uptrend. And this price breakout that we have had right now over the last 4 to 6 weeks, it's not a counter trend to the longer bear trend. It's a real sustained move, a bullish move to the upside once it gets past that 771 marker. You can see over time, each time the price has broken the downtrend temporarily, it's only been short-lived before being sold off again. So in this occasion, sold down to about 1160, counter trend back up to this peak of $24 before it got sold off again. Eventually to find support down here at 691. Counter trend for 2 months back up to $16 before it got sold off once again into support of 360. Big month here, big bullish month in September 2024. Buyers came back in, bought up NIO stock, only to be faced with more selling pressure a month later. And the stock got sold off into this $3 low in April this year. So this low now looks as if it could be the low for NIO. And now NIO stock is starting a new medium-term uptrend. It's not confirmed yet, but we are close. The price action is moving through these levels of resistance one by one on the buying interest coming back in. Looking a bit closer at NIO stock on the weekly chart, we can see since this peak of 771, price was sold off and it found support at $3. Now, since that low in April, the price action is looking good for NIO. It's looking bullish. If you look at how price has increased, it's moved up from this low $3, made this peak here of about $4.45. It did get sold off, but found support here at $3.35. So after the initial trough, it created a peak, and then when it sold off, it made that higher base. And from that higher base of $3.35, we've had 1, 2, 3 bullish weeks up. It's broken the trend line to create this peak here at $5.21. And over the last 4 weeks, it's found support at a higher level of $4.45. So you can see here, this support line corresponds to that previous resistance back here in April. And of course, last week, we've had a big bullish breakout for NIO stock based on the news catalyst of the ES8 SUV being released. So great news for NIO stock. Big question is, if you're not holding NIO stock right now, is now the best time to buy? Well, it all depends on your strategy and risk appetite. I still think this is in potentially counter trend territory. It's not confirmed yet. As I mentioned before, I'd like to see price break through 770. In other words, I want to see price break through this peak here from September 2024. I want to see price break that level and close convincingly the other side. And that'll give me the confidence that this move is not a counter trend, it is the confirmation of a new medium-term uptrend. So how could that happen? Well, last week we got that ES8 catalyst, which has broke this level here and broke through $6. Now, next week, there's a couple of scenarios. We might get more buyers come back in on the positive news, and price could push towards $7, $7.80 next week. That's possible. But of course, with such a big move, we might get a pullback. We might get some selling pressure. Remember, if any NIO traders have bought this stock, down about this level here, 335, for example, and now they're holding it on last week's closed, they've almost doubled their money. So some traders might be cashing out next week on their profit, and that might cause the stock price to fall steadily, perhaps fall into support around about $6. So that's possible. I'd be surprised if price pulls back, under $6 next week. I mean, it could come back and test 521. That is possible. If it falls through 521 next week, then this is just, a flash in the pan. But based on all the bullish news that's coming out for NIO now, as we come into earnings, it is looking good. I'm optimistic that even if there is some selling pressure next week or the week after, I think buyers are looking at this stock now. They're seeing the value in NIO. They're seeing the future, the potential. They're seeing all the money pumped into the swap network. They're seeing all the new models coming out. So they're seeing the future potential of this EV stock, which has faced so much selling pressure over a number of years now. So you can see I've got this green box here just highlighting the earnings catalyst of the ES8. That news could push the stock up next week as well towards these levels here. Now, after that, as earnings approaches, if NIO stock reports positive earnings for Q2, we could see this level of 770 broken in the lead up or post earnings, and it could come up to challenge $10. That's a real possibility. $10 corresponding to this sort of peak back here. But if earnings is really positive, then it could go even higher. It really could spike up towards $12, $13. It really could. And I say that because management are looking at profitability for the end of this year. So, it's 6 months away. So you've got this earnings and you've got Q3 earnings before December 2025, before the year's out. So if they report positively in Q2 and then the Q3 earnings is also positive, so between now and then they're showing reduced expenditure, increased sales, more brand launches. It's all positive catalysts for the NIO brand, and it's going to pave the way towards that goal of profitability by the end of the year. And even if they don't hit it by Q3, it might come in the Q4 report in early 2026. But right now, it is looking good for NIO. It's looking bullish. So if you're thinking about investing, watch this stock closely because it could be ready to break out. And as I mentioned, obviously you could buy it next week. You could. It would be high risk. Earnings is coming. Remember, the history of NIO stock is that it has promised things in the past, it hasn't delivered. And when the earnings have been released, the numbers haven't been up to scratch and investors have lost confidence, it's been sold off. So that is a possibility. But if the earnings goes the other way and they start to deliver on their promises, this stock is going to surge. It really is. But as I mentioned, this level is a key one for me. Once price gets over this level, then I think for a longer term investment, longer term hold, that would be your earliest point to get in at the start of the potential uptrend towards the end of the year. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you bullish on NIO? What do you think about the new ES8? And of course, the recent L90 as well. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.